Alex stood by the window of his small apartment on Mars, watching the red dust swirl across the horizon. It had been 3 months since Lara left for the outer colony on Titan. Every morning he woke with a knot of sadness in his chest. He remembered her laugh, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about alien seas. Now all he had were the faint echo of her voice in his mind and the silence of the empty room beside his own. He felt the distance between them as if it were a chasm he could never cross. He tried calling her every day. He pressed his thumb to the holocom pad and watched the light blink as the message traveled millions of kilometers through space. Sometimes he caught the edge of her smile in a brief video clip, but often the signal cut out. He stared at the frozen frame of her face, wishing he could reach out and hold her hand. When the call failed, the pad slipped from his fingers and clattered against the floor. In those moments, his hope felt as fragile as glass. At work, Alex moved through his tasks in a fog. He was an engineer on a research ship, responsible for maintaining life support systems and testing new energy cells. His colleagues noticed his quiet mood, but did not press him. They knew the loneliness of space. Still, Alex felt ashamed. He was supposed to be a strong human, known across the galaxy for resilience and courage, yet here he was, unable to find the strength to bridge the gap between him and the person he cared about most. Late one night, Alex sat in the ship's observation deck. The stars stretched infinitely around him, reminding him that the universe was both vast and possible. Thought of human explorers who had crossed worlds and weathered storms. If they could face black holes and supernova, he could find a way to reconnect with Lara. His heart pounded with a spark of determination. He would not let distance define them. He would use everything at his command to send a message that could not be ignored. He began drafting an idea on a holopad. Instead of another brief video, he would send her a piece of Earth-a-living memory. He collected seeds of earth plants that he had nurtured since childhood, a small rose cutting, a sprout of mint, and a bulb of marigold. He programmed the nanodrones to encase them in protective pods, along with a tiny recorder holding his voice. He described every memory, walking with her through a meadow of flowers, tasting mint tea in the evening, and laughing under the summer sun. He poured all his longing and hope into the message. By dawn, Alex had prepared the shipment for Titan. He named it the Memory Garden, and included instructions on how to plant and grow the seeds under Titan's artificial lights. He recorded one final log. Lara, I miss you beyond words. This garden carries my heart. Plant it well and grow with it. I believe in us. He watched as the drones lifted off, their engines humming softly. They climbed into the pale sky, carrying across the void his most precious offering. Weeks passed. Every day, Alex checked the communication feed for updates. He worked harder than ever, calibrating energy cells, testing new designs, and volunteering for extra shifts. Each task he completed reminded him of his strength and purpose. He thought of Lara and how she had always believed in his talent. He refused to let uncertainty defeat him. Even in solitude, he kept his gaze on the stars, imagining her smile when she opened the memory garden. Then one evening, a new message arrived. The holocom light flashed eagerly. Alex's pulse raced as he tapped to open it. The screen flickered and revealed Lara standing in a greenhouse on Titan, surrounded by budding roses and glowing marigolds. She held a sprig of mint in her hand and looked directly at the camera. Her eyes shone with tears and joy. Slowly she spoke the words he had longed to hear. Thank you, Alex. I see your heart in every bloom. At that moment, Alex felt the distance melt away. Hope had carried him across the stars. Human spirit had brought them back together. Jonah woke before dawn. The pale light of Earthrise glowing through his cabin window on the lunar station. Today marked 200 days since his sister, Mira, had left for the Titan research outpost. Every second of each day had stretched that distance in his mind. He missed her laughter echoing through the corridors and her calm voice guiding him through long nights. All he had were quiet halls and his own memories. At breakfast in the communal mess hall, Jonah forced himself to chew the bland nutrient paste. He watched the other crew members chat about experiments and supply runs. He wanted to join their conversation, but his mind kept drifting back to Mira's smile. He thought of the late-night stargazing they had done together on Earth, tracing constellations with their fingers. How could he bridge the gap between them now? After the meal, Jonah headed to the station's comm center. He tapped on the secure link to Titan's network, but the connection read offline. He stared at the dark screen, heart sinking. Communication. Windows opened only once every week, and today was not the day. He pressed his palm to the cool metal console, feeling the weight of space around him. Yet inside, a small flame of determination flickered. Humans had crossed millions of miles to work among the stars, would find a way to reach her. Jonah spent the morning in the engineering bay helping repair a broken sensor array. His hands moved with practiced skill, soldering circuits and tightening panels. Each task reminded him of Mira's steady encouragement when he was an apprentice. Technician. He could almost hear her voice. "You can do this, John." He smiled despite himself. He carried her belief in him like a shield against despair. In the afternoon, he gathered pieces of scrap metal and old circuitry. He wanted to send Mira something that spoke of home. He designed a small holographic projector. Inside it, he programmed a loop of images, the two of them in their childhood garden, chasing fireflies. The time they built a telescope from spare parts, the day they planted a sapling on their front lawn. He worked late into the evening, coding every frame with care. When the projector was ready, Jonah wrapped it in a padded case labeled Fragile Memory Gift. He attached a data beacon that would activate when Titan's network reopened. He left it at the comm center with a request for priority uplink. As he walked back through the silent corridors, he felt hope stirring. He imagined Mira's surprise. When the little device hummed to life, flickering images of home across her empty lab, that night Jonah could not sleep. He floated in his small quarters, staring at the stars beyond the glass panel. He remembered Mira's last message, "I will miss you every moment, but our work here will help all of humanity." Her words had made him proud and sad at once. He whispered into the dark, "I will find a way to bring us closer, no matter the miles." Days passed without word. Jonah focused on his duties, calibrating oxygen recyclers and testing new radiation shields. Each success gave him confidence. Humans were known for solving impossible problems with creativity and courage. He would honor that legacy by keeping his promise. Every time he slipped a tool into his toolbox or circled a diagram on a datapad, he thought of Mira and held her name in his heart. Then, on the morning of the next communication window, the comm center buzzed with activity. Jonah hurried there, heart racing. The uplink light blinked green. He logged in and sent the data beacon packet. Moments later, a soft chime signaled an incoming message. Jonah tapped the screen and held his breath. A live hologram of Mira shimmered into view. She stood in the dim light of Titan's lab, her eyes wide with astonishment as the small projector floated before her. It flickered images of their shared past. She reached out, touching an image of the sapling they had planted. Then she smiled, tears shining on her cheeks. "Jonah," she whispered, voice thick with emotion. This is everything." She pressed a hand to her heart. "I feel home again."
Ow.
Jonah felt tears on his own cheeks as he watched her.
Ow.
Distance no longer mattered. In that moment, human innovation and hope had closed the gap between worlds. He raised his hand in a wave, and Mira mirrored him. They shared a silent promise. Though far apart, their bond would remain unbroken. As the hologram faded, Jonah felt a surge of joy and purpose. He returned to his work with renewed energy. He knew that wherever humans traveled across oceans, deserts, moons, or floating ice giants, they could carry their spirit and love with them. And that spirit would always light the way home. Cadet Mira Santos floated in the hydroponics bay of the cargo vessel Horizon, watching the green sprigs of lettuce sway in zero gravity. It had been for months since her best friend Lynn had transferred to the diplomatic ship Aurora. Every morning, Myra passed the curved glass wall where Lynn once studied the plants with her curious fingers. Now the bay felt empty without her laughter. Mira pressed her fingertip against the glass, remembering how Lynn teased her about overwatering. The seedlings, at mealtime, Mira sat alone at a round table with her reusable tray. Around her, crew members joked about charting new trade routes. Mira forced a smile, but her mind was on Lynn's last message. Lynn had written that life on Aurora was busy, full of official dinners and political briefings. Mira saw the crisp uniform in the holophoto, but not Lynn's soft smile. She longed to hear her friend's voice in full instead of a clipped transmission. After breakfast, Mira made her way to the communications hub. The officer on duty greeted her with a polite nod. Mira slipped a small data stick across the console. "Please include this in the next personal mail batch to Aurora," she said, her voice catching. The officer scanned the stick and gave her a reassuring smile. "I'll make sure it goes through." Courage blossomed in Mira's chest. She had crafted a message that carried more than words. In her quarters, Mira unpacked the tiny projector she had built from spare parts. She had spent late nights soldering circuits and writing code. The projector held a loop of memories. Lynn and Mira dancing in the rain on an Earth colony, laughing under the twin moons of Ganymede, sharing a quiet cup of tea in the Aurora docking bay. Mira had layered the images with a soft melody she composed on the ship's piano. She believed that music, like hope, could cross any distance. That afternoon, Mira volunteered to help engineer this week's cargo unload. She found satisfaction in the rhythmic work of securing crates and guiding the hover dray. Each container she locked in place reminded her of the locks on her own heart, slowly opening as she prepared her gift. She hummed the tune she had composed and felt the melody spread warmth through her. Humans had crossed galaxies on little more than hope and determination. Mira would carry that spirit to her friend. When the Horizon docked with the jump gate station, Mira hurried back to the hub. The officer handed her a small, printed receipt. "Your package is left for Aurora with express priority," he said. Mira folded the receipt and tucked it into her uniform. She walked through the bright corridors, imagining Lynn's surprise as the projector flickered to life. Hope buoyed her steps more than the anti-grav plates. That night, Mira could not sleep. She floated beside her bunk, staring at the glowing Earth rising beyond the viewport. She thought of Lynn navigating diplomatic channels, forging alliances among alien species. How proud she was of her friend's calm wisdom. Mira whispered into the silence, "I believe in you, Lynn. I believe in us." Let dreams carry her across the light years. 3 days later, a personal transmission pinged on Mira's app. She stared at the screen as it loaded. The message was from Lynn, marked priority. Mira's hands trembled as she activated the holofeed. A soft green glow filled the room, and there was Lynn, standing in the Aurora's central atrium. Behind her, a holographic lettuce from Horizon's Bay swayed in sync with Lynn's gentle smile. Lynn held up the small projector Mira had sent. The memory loop began. The rain on Earth, the twin moons, the shared tea. Mira heard her own melody. In perfect clarity, Lynn's eyes filled with tears as she reached toward the floating images. "Mira," she said, voice trembling, "I feel you here with me." She tapped a finger on the lettuce image, and a tender rain of holographic droplets fell. Mira pressed her palm to the glass of her screen. "I miss you, Lynn," she said. "I wanted you to know that wherever you are, you carry home in your heart." Lynn smiled through the holofeed and whispered, "And you carry hope in yours." The connection crackled as they shared a quiet moment of understanding. Distance no longer felt insurmountable. As the transmission ended, Mira exhaled deeply, tears shining in her eyes. She looked around the quiet bay where new sprouts waited for sunlight.
Ow.
She touched the glass and whispered, "Together, we can do anything." In the soft glow of the hydroponics lights, Mira felt the human spirit bold, creative, and hopeful beat strong in her chest. She knew that no matter how far Lynn traveled, their friendship would always light the way. *I stood on the observation deck of the Starfreighter Aurora's refit bay, gazing at the blue-green swirl of Earth rising above the pale horizon of Europa. It had been 6 months since his mentor, Commander Elise Tan, transferred to the Orbital Academy on Enceladus. Every time he watched supply freighters dock and depart, He thought of her calm voice guiding him through his first engine breakdown. Now the empty deck echoed with his own breath. Kai felt the miles between them more keenly than any cold vacuum. At the crew, mess is isques. Kai picked at his protein cubes while others talked about cargo routes and drill schedules. His friend Juno nudged him and asked, "You okay, Kai?" He forced a smile and nodded. He had tried sending letters and data logs of his engineering breakthroughs, but the Academy's come window opened only once every 4 weeks. Each locked-out notice made his heart ache. He wished he could share his achievements and feel Commander Tan's proud smile again. After the meal, Kai returned to the engine room. The hum of the fusion drive soothed him. He tightened a cooling coil and double-checked pressure gauges. As his spanner clicked into place, he remembered how Elise showed him this exact part on his first shift. Her patient guidance had given him confidence. Kai realized that he could honor her by mastering every system here. If he could excel, perhaps she would notice and reach out. He straightened up, determination lighting his eyes. That night, Kai gathered parts from the spare locker, a small hollow projector module, some fiber optic cables, and a memory chip. He cleared a workshop bench and set to work. Quickly weaving cables and programming code, he planned to send Commander Tan a virtual engine tour of Aurora's new drive enhancements, complete with his live commentary. He believed that showing his work would speak louder than letters. He worked well past the refit bay's dimming lights, humming a tune Elise once taught him. When the projector was ready, Kai uploaded his tour video. He walked to the CUM terminal and queued it for the next Academy uplink. On the side, he added a brief message. "Commander Tan, these are the improvements I made using your lessons. I hope they honor your teaching." He pressed send and watched the data packet swirl into the CUM channel. Relief warmed him. He felt proud to carry humanity's spirit or drive to learn and improve across every light year. Days passed, as Kai immersed himself in routine checks and system calibrations. Each successful test of the new cooling coils reminded him of Elise's faith in his abilities. He shared jokes with Juno and taught a junior mechanic how to replace worn bearings. As he guided others, he carried the echo of Elise's encouragement in his voice. Every act of mentorship he offered honored the mentor who once lifted him up. Hope began to bloom in his chest alongside his growing skills. Finally, the Academy's CUM window opened. Kai dashed to the terminal, heart pounding. He tapped into the secure Academy feed and saw a new message marked from Commander Elise Tan. His throat tightened. He played the video he had sent moments ago, his own voice, guiding viewers through engine schematics, highlighting his tweaks. Then Elise's image appeared on screen, standing in the Academy's engine lab, her uniform crisp and her smile warm. "Kai," she said, voice full of pride, "I watched your tour 3 times. Your improvements will help freighters everywhere. You've taken my lessons to heart and made them your own. This is the true HFY spirit, humanity reaching farther by sharing knowledge and hope." She paused, eyes glistening. "I missed our work together. Can we schedule a live holosession next cycle? I want to see more of your projects." Tears sprang to Kai's eyes as he watched her. He tapped the terminal, his fingers trembling. "Yes, Commander Tan, I'd be honored." The screen faded, but her words echoed through him. Distance had been real, but hope and human ingenuity had bridged the void. He felt connected again, as if he and Elise stood side by side in the engine room. That evening, Kai returned to the observation deck. Europa's icy plains gleamed below, and Earth hovered above like a promise. He whispered into the silence, "We're never too far apart when we share our hearts." In that moment, Kai knew that human spirit, bold, inventive, and hopeful, could carry connections across any divide. And as the stars sparkled overhead, he felt renewed purpose lighting his path. Celes stood on the viewing balcony of the Cloud City, watching Venus's thick orange haze swirl beneath the floating platforms. It had been 8 months since her brother Aaron accepted a post on the orbital research station above Ceres. Each morning, she woke to the soft hum of the city's anti-gravity engines and felt an empty space where his laughter once echoed. She missed the way he teased her about her awkward dance steps and the steady way he held her hand when she felt afraid. Now, every breath of the warm, sulfur-scented air reminded her of his absence. At breakfast, Sela forced herself to eat the soft fruit cans with her roommate. Rana chatted about new Skytram routes and planned sightseeing tours, but Sela only nodded. Her heart fluttered each time a message alert chimed on her communicator. But every ping from the news feed or a colleague's update was not from Erin. Afterward, she swept through the balcony gardens, tending to bioluminescent flowers whose glow reminded her of Erin's bright grin. As she watered the delicate petals, she wished she could reach out and share this moment with him. That afternoon, Sela climbed to the art workshop. She gathered clay and tools and sat at her workbench by the window. For years, art had helped her express what words could not. Today, she decided to sculpt something for Erin, a small statue of the two of them, walking side by side on Earth's green hills. She pressed the clay between her fingers, shaping their figures. As she worked, memories guided her hands. Erin's steady presence, his warm jokes, and the way he encouraged her to chase her dreams. With each curve and ridge, she poured her longing into the sculpture. Evening lights flickered on across the city as Sela placed the nearly finished statue under a soft lamp. She programmed a hidden chip inside its base to record her voice. In a quiet moment, she spoke into the workshop's mic. "Erin, I miss you more than words can say. I hope this keeps us close no matter where you go. Remember our promises and our laughter. I believe we can cross any distance together." Sela held her breath as she replayed the recording. Her voice broke slightly, but determination shone through. The next day, Sela walked to the shipping bay with the clay statue wrapped in protective sheets, explained to the clerk that it was a personal gift for her brother on Ceres Station. The clerk smiled, telling her the station's supply shuttle departed that night. Relief flooded Sela's chest. She watched as the crate was loaded and secured. She imagined the statue arriving in the cold, airless lab of the research station and being unwrapped by Erin's surprised hands. She felt renewed hope stirring within her. For 2 weeks, Sela kept busy in the city's market, selling small paintings of Venus's swirling clouds. Each sale reminded her that humans could create beauty, even in harsh worlds. She taught art classes to local children, sharing her belief that imagination could bridge any gap. Whenever she finished a lesson, she thought of Erin and how proud he would be. Her heart felt lighter with every brushstroke she guided. Humanity's spirit of creativity, she realized, was as strong as any engine or research project. On the night the shuttle returned, Sela waited by the cum terminal. The lights dimmed and a small display showed incoming personal parcels. One slot lit up under her brother's name. With trembling fingers, she entered her security code and watched the crate glide toward her. She carried it home, her heart pounding. Then she unwrapped the layers of padding and gently lifted the clay figures. She pressed the button on the base. Her own voice whispered through the workshop speaker, "Erin, I miss you more than words can say." At that moment, her communicator chimed. Sela opened the live halak. There was Erin, standing in a bright lab on Ceres, his eyes wide with surprise and joy. He held a small tool as if he had just unwrapped something precious. He placed the statue on his desk, and then he touched his headset. "Sela," he said, voice warm and steady. "This means everything to me. I feel you here beside me." His smile was as bright as the station's lights. Sela's own smile grew, and tears of happiness filled her eyes as the call ended. Sela replaced the statue on her balcony table where Venus's clouds glowed beneath it. She looked up at the swirling sky and whispered into the night air, "Distance cannot weaken what hope and love have joined." She felt proud to be human, bold enough to send her heart across space, clever enough to craft a living memory, and hopeful enough to believe in reunion. And as the city hummed around her, Sela knew that no matter how far Erin traveled, their bond would carry them home together. Zara stood at the viewport of the Neptune survey station, watching the pale blue planet drift by below. It had been 9 months since her partner Evan transferred to the Dymas research outpost. Every evening she pressed her palm to the cold glass and pictured his warm smile. The empty room beside hers reminded her of his laughter and shared morning coffee. She missed him deeply, but she did not know how to bridge so many miles of silent space. At breakfast in the communal galley, Zara picked at her nutrient flakes. Around her, scientists talked about probe readings and weather patterns on Triton. She tried to join, but her mind kept returning to Evan's last message, a clipped text that said, "I hope you're well." No stars, no heart emoji, just those 5 words ringing hollow. She felt the distance as keenly as the vacuum outside, the station walls. That afternoon, Zara wandered into the engineering lab. The hum of power converters and the glow of circuit panels soothed her. She had helped design the station's quantum beacon device that linked data across light years in fractions of a second. Humans had built machines to collapse distance itself. If she could repurpose that beacon, perhaps she could send Evan something more than plain words. Zara gathered spare optical fibers, a small hologram projector, and a microgenerator module. She cleared a bench and set to work. As she soldered and programmed, she remembered the nights when she and Evan sketched star charts on Earth, out dreaming of exploring the outer system together. She poured that shared hope into every circuit connection, believing that human ingenuity could carry her message anywhere by nightfall. Zara had built a starlight memory device, a tiny projector that would cast constellations onto any wall, timed to real Earth skies on the night they first met. Inside it, she stored a brief hollow recording of her voice. "Evan, here are the stars we loved on Earth. I carry them with me, and I carry you." She programmed the quantum beacon to send the entire package instantly to Dymas. Zara carried the device to the CUM terminal and initiated the transmission. She watched the progress bar fill, feeling her heart beat in time with its steady pulse. When the beacon confirmed delivered, she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Had sent more than signals, she had sent a piece of home and her unspoken longing. The next days tested her patience. Zara threw herself into station duties, recalibrating sensors, running water recycling tests, and teaching newcomer engineers how to maintain the beacon. Each task reminded her of humanity's drive to explore and improve. Every success nurtured her spirit and gave her courage to wait. On the 10th day after sending, the station's quantum console blinked an incoming alert. Zara's hands fluttered as she tapped the screen. A holofeed opened, showing the dusty red horizon of Dymas behind Evan's silhouette. He knelt on the station's empty ground pad, cradling the small projector. "Zara," he said, voice soft but clear, "this is breathtaking." He activated the device. Constellations of Orion, Cassiopeia, and Lyra shimmered against the bare metal wall. Evan lifted his face to the stars, eyes shining with tears. "I feel like I'm back on Earth's night sky," he whispered. Then he touched the projector's side and watched her voice play across the scene. Zara felt her own tears as she heard him say, "I carry you with me, always." She pressed a hand to the console's glass and smiled. In that moment, the millions of kilometers between them melted. Human creativity and love had collapsed the void. Over the next hour, Zara and Evan shared stories of their days apart. He described the research breakthroughs on Dymas. She spoke of Neptune's storms and the station's new algae pods. They laughed together, planning future missions side by side. Hope and human spirit filled every word. When the feed ended, Zara stood alone before the viewport again. This time, she felt Evan's presence beside her. She pressed her palm to the glass and whispered into the silence, "We found our way back." The blue planet below seemed to glow brighter, as if celebrating their reunion. In the days that followed, Zara carried the starlight memory projector into the station's lounge. She invited her colleagues to watch the Earth's constellations and hear her message. Scientists and engineers from many worlds gathered, moved by the simple reminder that humanity's greatest invention was connection itself. Zara realized then that distance could challenge them, but not defeat them, across solar winds and cold voids. Human hope and ingenuity would always find a path. She returned to her quarters each night with a light heart and a renewed purpose to carry both science and love forward among the stars. And as she drifted to sleep, She dreamed of the night when she and Evan would walk beneath the real Earth sky again, together. Quinn Hale stood alone in the dark control room of the asteroid relay station, watching data streams pulse across the holoscreens. It had been 10 months since his oldest friend, Arya Lynn, left the belt for the Mars terraforming project. Every morning, he vowed to reach out, yet when he tried the standard comm channels, they were always busy or restricted. His heart ached at the empty space beside him, where Arya once sat, her laughter brightening every routine shift. Quinn felt adrift, in the station's cold silence, longing for a way to bridge the void between them. At lunchtime, Quinn made his way to the small common area. The other operators discussed asteroid trajectories and supply manifests, voices low behind their masks. He pressed 2 nutrient bars into his pocket and returned to the console instead of joining them. Quinn opened an old datapad and reread the log messages Arya had sent in her first week on Mars, excited notes about red deserts and rising green domes. He smiled sadly and then frowned. Those simple texts carried her spirit better than any dry mission report. If only he could send something equally alive. Back at his station, Quinn studied the deep space radio array. The ancient equipment could transmit signals faster than light through wormhole relays, but standard protocols limited message length to mission data. Quinn tapped into the array's engineering core, recalling lessons Arya had taught him when they fixed a failed receiver. Together, he accessed an unused wavelength and began crafting a custom waveform, a musical pattern he knew would carry his voice without breaking the relay's rules. Hour after hour, Quinn tweaked the frequencies. He wove in the melody of the song they used to hum on weekend hikes across the belt's rocky fields. As he programmed each modulation, he remembered Arya's wide grin when they first discovered a hidden alcove on Bellona Station. He coded the pattern to repeat at certain intervals, hoping she would recognize it even through Mars's busy comnets. He felt a spark of hope. Humans had once sent messages across interplanetary space by beaming radio beeps. Now he would send something more, something that carried memory and heart late that night. When most operators had turned in, Quinn initiated the signal. The array hummed as nanobots realigned the beam, sending his musical code across the void. Transmission logs, watching the little acknowledgement pulses tick farther along the relay chain. His chest tightened with every hop, until the final confirmation blinked green. Mars relay confirmed. Quinn exhaled slowly. Had sent more than a signal. It sent a piece of their shared past. The next cycles were long and tense. Quinn threw himself into station maintenance, calibrating gravity stabilizers, testing life support redundancies, and retraining junior technicians. Each task grounded him in purpose and reminded him of what humans could achieve when they worked together. He thought of Arya's calm confidence as she led her Mars team through dust storms and power outages. He carried that confidence in his own steady hands. On the 11th day after sending the signal, Quinn's console lit up with an unexpected alert. Unidentified personal broadcast incoming. His heart hammered as he opened the feed. A faint, familiar melody began to play slow and clear. It was their song, humming through the speakers in a soft reed tone. Then the console displayed text. Quinn, I heard you. Below, it was an audio clip of Arya's voice, warm and smiling. You still know our song? It carried me through Mars's long nights. Thank you for bringing home to me. Tears blurred Quinn's vision as he replayed her voice. He pressed the come button and spoke, voice trembling. Arya, I missed you. Never far from here. Across the light years, her reply crackled. I felt your signal in the silence. It made me feel safe and remembered. You remind me why I came here, to carry our human spirit wherever we go. They spoke then for almost an hour, trading stories of asteroids and red dunes, of meteor showers seen through Martian skies, and of plans to meet again among the stars. As they talked, Quinn felt the barrier of distance dissolve. In her laughter, he heard the echo of their old hikes. In his voice, she heard the loyalty that had guided them through every challenge. When the call ended, Quinn stood in the quiet control room, the melody still playing softly through the speakers. He realized that no matter how far humans traveled across asteroid belts to the rings of Saturn or the sands of Mars, their greatest invention was connection itself. Hope and ingenuity could carry messages of heart across any void. That evening, Quinn opened the station's speakers and played the song again for his colleagues. Operators, engineers, and pilots gathered around the holoscreens, smiling as the simple tune filled the room. He explained how the signal worked and why it mattered, because humanity's spirit is strongest when it reaches out, when it shares memory and music. Under the flickering lights, Quinn looked once more at the stars beyond the viewport. He whispered into the dim glow, "We are never alone." And as the song repeated, each note a promise, he knew that human hope would always find a way to light the darkness between worlds. Tessa Reyes leaned over the railing of the Mercury, relay station's outer walkway, feeling the heat of the sun's glare reflecting off the polished hull. Below her, solar collectors shimmered like a field of glass petals. It had been 11 months since her childhood friend Marco Alvarez left Earth to serve on the Luna City orbital ring. Each sunrise here reminded her of Marco's stories about Earth's dawns, with soft pink skies and cool morning air. Relentless blaze of Mercury felt lonely without his calm presence beside her. That morning, Tessa tried to join her colleagues in the station's lab. They spoke excitedly about new solar panel coatings and radiation shield prototypes. Tessa nodded and offered to run diagnostics on the collector arrays, but her heart felt heavy. During lunch, she opened her communicator to check for any message from Marco, instead of his familiar greeting. She saw only routine updates from Mission Control. Disappointment settled in her chest like lead. She missed his easy laugh and the way he always reminded her to stay curious. After work, Tessa walked to the observation dome, where she once sketched rocket trajectories with Marco. She set up her hollow drawing tablet and began tracing the paths of Mercury's orbit and Luna. City's ring. Lines and arcs filled the screen, but it did not ease her sadness. She tapped the view of Earth in the background, then drew a small heart where her home planet glowed. Suddenly, an idea sparked. She could send Marco more than words. She would send him a living piece of Mercury's sunrise. Tessa gathered thin sheets of photovoltaic film from the storage bay and cut them into sunburst shapes. She arranged them on a flat panel, soldering circuits that pulsed in time with the station's power grid. In the center, she attached a small holoprojector loaded with a looped recording, her voice describing Mercury's beauty, her laughter echoing as she chased sunbeams across the walkway, and a soft melody she composed on her hand-cranked keyboard. She called it the Sunburst Memory. She carried the device to the terminal under the station's dome, where transmissions to Luna City could pass through the solar relay. Her fingers hovered over the send button. Tessa closed her eyes and imagined Marco's face when he saw it. With a steady breath, she pressed transmit. The holo device powered on, casting a warm orange glow across the console. Then it blinked off, waiting on Xavier's data buffer to beam it across the void. Over the next week, Tessa focused on her work with new vigor. She optimized mirror angles, fine-tuned cooling tubes, and helped train junior technicians on emergency protocols. Each success reminded her of humanity's drive to solve impossible problems. She imagined Marco hearing about her progress and felt pride swelling in her chest. Hope guided her efforts and banished the ache of distance. Finally, the console beeped with a priority alert. Tessa dashed to the terminal as the station's dome lights dimmed for the transmission. The screen rippled. The holofeed flickered into view. Marco standing inside a glittering white corridor of Luna City's central ring. He cradled the sunburst memory device in his hands, surrounded by soft orange pulses matching Mercury's. Dawn. Tessa's heart leaped as she heard her own voice speaking across space. Marco, I wanted to share a sunrise with you. Here is how Mercury greets the sun. The projector activated and solar film sunbursts spun gently in midair, throwing golden light patterns on the ring's gleaming walls. Marco's eyes widened with wonder. Tears glistened in his voice as he replied, Tessa, this is incredible. I can almost feel the warmth and see the light dancing. You've brought your home sunrise right here? He traced a finger through the holosun beams, and they shimmered in response. I missed you more than I realized. Thank you for reminding me of why we explore. Tessa smiled through her own tears. I miss you too. I thought if I could send something more than messages, you'd know I'm always thinking of you. She pressed a fingertip to the screen and the holofeed glowed. Brighter. Wherever we go, we carry our memories and hope together. They spoke for almost an hour, sharing stories of solar storms on Mercury and the delicate glow of Earthrise seen from Luna City. Marco described new research on low-gravity agriculture. Tessa explained her improvements to the collector arrays. Efficiency. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, bridging millions of kilometers with laughter and plans for their next reunion. When the